Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ernst Pelser from Proxima Information Technology Solutions. Today we talk about ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malware that encrypts your systems and eventually renders your system unusable. Once the system has been encrypted, the threat actor will contact you to pay a ransom for the release of the files or to give you the key to unencrypt the data. In 2018, the number of global ransomware attacks reached around 204 million. It's also considered to be one of the most pressing cybersecurity issues worldwide right now. So if you think about what would the cost be to a business? Well, there's obviously the reputational cost. There's the cost of trying to recover from the situation, so staff's time, your business's time, third parties' costs. Then there's also downtime, and then there's also the cost to consider is the cost to your customers. So how does a ransomware attack happen? Well, there's various mechanisms, but some of the common mechanisms is through email campaigns. So a malicious email is sent through to a user. The user follows a link through to a browser, which downloads the malicious payload, and that payload will eventually start encrypting your files or attacking some software on your system. A lot of the systems type of ransomware also run long enough in your system that your backups will keep on backing up encrypted files until you start rotating your tapes. Now, obviously, so when you're trying to recover, you basically just recover encrypted files. And then the final step of all of this is basically the person, you will get notified, and normally it happens through some alert that pops up on your screen saying that your files have all been encrypted and you must pay a ransom, normally through some electronic form i.e. Bitcoin, to decrypt your files and recover your files. So obviously, the best defense through this is taking preventative actions. So when looking at preventive actions, there's always multiple lenses to look through. There's people, there's process, and there's technology. You need to sort of take a layered approach. So let's start off with people. First and foremost, it's critical that you do user awareness, security awareness training. So, educate your users about the risks of malware, about the risks of ransomware, how does it get delivered, how do you spot it through the emails, be cautious about clicking on certain links. From a technical perspective, the process obviously is helping people communicate when they're suspicious with regards to emails or links for that matter. What process should they follow if they're unsure, and who do they contact? This is where you need an IT and a security team that is known to be collaborative with staff, so that people feel free that they can come have a conversation. From a technical perspective, there's a whole host of steps that should be taken. So things like spam filters, stop spam early in the system before they even reach the users. You're not going to have 100% hit rate, but you can seriously reduce the amount of spam that people receive. The other thing is employing good security measures on your email system. Things like SPF, DMARC, and DKIM. So SPF is Sender Policy Framework. The DMARC is Domain Message Authentication Reporting and Confirmation, and DKIM is Domain Key Identification and to prevent email spoofing. We're not going to go into details of these. We'll probably do some shows in the future to talk about these. Then there's also blocking access to malicious websites, and this is where a good firewall with some form of IPS intrusion prevention systems come into play. A lot of them, most of the advanced ones, have a a website filtering system, so it will dynamically block malicious websites. There's no way that you can manually configure a firewall to block all malicious websites, because these websites can be spun up and spun down within hours. So you need a global system that actually tracks these things and automatically updates the firewall. They aren't as cost prohibitive as people tend to think, so it's well worth investing in that. Patch operating systems. Any type of malware normally attacks vulnerable software. So, patching operating systems is absolutely key. Set malware and virus applications to scan systems regularly, especially for critical systems, so some of your main servers, but endpoints as well. Follow least privilege practices, especially privileged accounts. What this means is basically only give a person access to what they need to do their job. We do see a lot in organizations where people do the daily processes with using admin accounts. Even admins should be using a normal account to do their normal operations, but only using admin accounts to perform their critical, so admin type of roles. Enable application whitelisting. This is another key. So application whitelisting is effectively where your systems are configured that you can only install whitelist certain applications, so things like Word, Excel, that type of stuff. But there's different ways to attack this, but effectively it limits the type of applications that can be installed. So, even if a user wants to install something which isn't necessarily to the best interest of the business, they get blocked. But it also means that if there is a process trying to install application, then that gets blocked as well. And finally, there's a lot more, but this is a final one, and we're going to cover is backup systems regularly and test backups on a regular basis. We've already touched on why this is critical, but the testing part is where a lot of organizations fall short. So what should you do if you get hit by ransomware? Now, these steps actually come as recommendations from the FBI. The first thing they say is isolate the system from the rest of the network. So, that's obviously a key step, because you basically don't want the malware or the encryption to start moving laterally through the organization. So, immediately disconnect your wired connection, immediately disconnect your wireless connection. The other thing is if you want to be dead certain, obviously disconnect the power, shut the system down. The downside of that is that you could actually be destroying evidence if you're going to go down that path. Collect your latest backups, test that they're good, test that they don't contain the malware, and obviously try and restore the system, or at least get the critical part of the business back up and running as soon as possible. Contact your law enforcement. They will be able to suggest your next best steps, especially specific to your region. And then other thing that we highly recommend is starting to change critical passwords, so admin passwords, domain passwords. Hopefully all of this makes sense. If you need any assistance with any of this, please feel free to reach out to us. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out on us either via our website or just give us a call. This is Ernst Pelser from Proxima Information Technology Solutions. Thank you.